Arizona Sunshine Remake. It's pretty fun game, it's a little short, I managed to beat it in 4.5 hours, and that was with me repeating a level and dying about 12 times. The combat has a decent challenge, and it comes down to how well you can shoot, so for someone like me with a lot of practice in games like horror, it was incredibly hard. The gunplay is fun, but can be annoying at times. Two-handed guns can be annoying to use at times, and the game instincts you that you keep your hand on the pistol grip and trigger area at all times, making reloading guns like the sniper and AK awkward. Some guns are better than others for sure, and that's good. There isn't an incredibly massive arsenal to play with, but it's enough to keep the game fun. Expect to find a new gun you haven't seen yet every 10, 12, sometimes 20 minutes. My one complaint is how clunky the grenade launcher feels to use. In the section it appears I had trouble reloading it. Granted, it could come down to me being bad at I don't know. The plot is fun, the character is annoying and talks just enough that it's not too much or too little. I can't speak really on the co-op. From what I've heard, the campaign is apparently 2-player only, so be warned. Overall, the game is pretty good. From what it looks like, it's definitely a worthwhile overhaul from the original. $30 feels like a little steep, but it's understandable. Overall, I recommend the game to anyone who's looking for the new VR game to play. After playing the DLC and the Horde mode, I have a few comments. So both DLC are separate stories following different characters. And that's fine except for the fact that both of DLCs can be easily beaten in about 1.5 or 2 hours total. It took me about an hour and a half to beat the damage and only 35 minutes to complete the Dead Man, meaning we barely get any time to get to know our characters and be familiar with them. The damage is decently fun and you have plenty of chances to use every weapon you can find in the story, as well at least the one I never encountered. Dead Man is sort of opposite, with it giving you a very limited arsenal, which is actually a bit refreshing as at times it seems to encourage ammo conversation and a better accuracy. Horde mode is exactly what it is presented as. Fight wave after wave in an endless horde, and it's fine. It's a little basic terms of gameplay, but it's fine. My only complaint is the very small pool of maps. Unless I miss something, there appears to be only 4 maps total, which is kinda limits replayability. Overall, after playing just about the content of this game has to offer, I'll leave it as 7 out of 10. Why the drop from 8 out of 10 to 7 out of 10? Because of how short this kind is overall. Again, once you completed the story, there is only the DLCs and the Horde mode. So unless you want to go back and do the story DLCs on the hard difficulty, there isn't much else to do. Now normally I'd say it's fine, however for a $30 price tag, that amount of content seems small. Granted, $30 for the game nowadays is rather cheap, so I don't know. The guns feel nice and heavy, they look good and have a nice rumble feedback, their sound is not great though. The M1911 sounds fine, but the revolver just lacks so much punch in the real PT. Another oddity is the amount of weapons that get thrown at you. You can walk 5 meters without running across new guns. I somehow appreciate that, but on the other hand, it messes up the pricing, reward system and the feeling of progression. I think an elegant solution would be to increase the weapon pool in only NG+, run in co-op. Now about the cons. Some immersion breakers still remain. I can hold the rifle with my offhand, only for example the graph visualizer, solar weather and the pouch system. The game has some fundamental flaws that the remake does not address, for example an overlens on the grabbing, where just stretch out your hand and grab something from far, and due to not being able to get close to items to regularly grab them. The game also lacks a variety of hand grabbing animations. Most items can only be held in one specific way. This bugs me due to how many cool items are everywhere. Is this a good remake? Yes, but not perfect. If you ask if this is a good remaster, I'd say absolutely. But it changed the game's pacing too much with the amount of guns, it's honestly distracting. It's a clear improvement over the original in most cases. Especially admirable was that even though we have a new pretty and very detailed guns, and they still keep in their identity and style. The game is pretty fun despite its bugs, and overall I'd say it's worth it. Just don't go looking for a 10 and 20 hour experience because it doesn't quite meet that mark.